Welcome to the We Hack Purple podcast, where each week we meet a new guest from all sorts of different backgrounds within the information security industry. And this week we have Teuta Hyseni, and we are going to talk to her about what it is like to do her amazing and very interesting job. This week is sponsored by ThreadFix. And they are our longest term sponsor, and I just want to say that we at We Hack Purple are so ridiculously grateful. I want to say happy Thanksgiving to all the awesome people in America who are, eating delicious turkeys or tofurkeys or whatever it is that you are doing. I also want to let you all know that tomorrow is Black Friday, and We Hack Purple is doing a special deal where if you buy our bundle of Application Security Foundation courses, you get a 30-minute free consult with me. Yes, you get to hang out with this giant nerd. I don't know. I told them, I'm like, I don't know if this will sell more or less. And they're like, Tanya, stop it. Anyway, without further ado, the person that you actually want to see, our guest, Teuta Hyseni. I did it better this time, but let's just bring her on, shall we? Okay, here she is. Yes. Welcome.
Hi, Tanya. You're so amazing. Yes, hi, everyone. So my name is Teuta Hyseni. And, well, for most of Americans, I'm Teuta Hyseni. And so, yeah, I'm a security engineer at Microsoft. And I'm super happy to be actually with Tanya today. It's Thanksgiving and, grab some turkey and listen to us.
Yes. We met when I worked at Microsoft, and if you meet awesome people, I feel like you should just stay in contact with them. So that's what we did. And yeah, thank you so much for saying yes to being on the show. I'm pretty excited to have you.
It's my privilege.
I have a surprise for you. So you happen to know the people at ThreadFix, and as a surprise for you, they donated $1,000 in your name to Girls Who Code. Isn't that so amazing?
Yeah,
They're like, we wanted to do something awesome for you, and they're like, we've been planning this for a while, and so I was like,
oh my God, this is super great. Well, now just I get emotional because ThreadFix and Denim Group has been like a company that I worked for longest, and I think I learned so much. Well, thank you, Dan, thank you, John, and whoever. I know that I will always be a friend, even though I've been kind of gone now for 3 years. But I know that I always have a friend there, and this is such an honor, and I don't know how to thank you. This is great. And it's a cause that I really care, because I am really vocal in terms of, educating women, especially girls from young ages, to actually code and be part of technology. So this is just awesome.
I know. I thought it was the best idea. I was like, you guys are great.
I don't know. This is so great. I cannot, I'm super, super excited.
I know. We wanted to make it a big surprise, and I was like, I'm just going to spring it on her at the beginning.
Yeah, well, just a virtual hug to everyone in the Denim Group at ThreadFix. It's just, this is great. I don't know how to express my gratitude more. And it's Thanksgiving, and just this is so amazing. I don't know. Well, y'all got me. This is amazing. I don't know how to even be surprised.
It's so lovely. And I mean, the ThreadFix people are lovely to work with, and they happen to be hiring. So if you're looking for a job in application security, you should check out their careers page. And I'm going to have to look it up at some point and put it in the chat so people can check it out.
Yes. So for those who are also interested to join application security, that's where I actually everything started for me. So I got taught by best in the industry. I'm just gonna say that.
Yes, they are great, and we love our sponsor, and not only because they're a sponsor. Yeah, they're good. Awesome. They're very, very good. Okay, so now I'll actually start the podcast. so, so please tell us about your job title and describe what your job is like for us.
Yeah, this whole start is actually amazing. I'm just all I cannot stop laughing. But so my job title is security engineer. I work for Microsoft. I work for Office 365. And what I do is I'm more specialized in application security. Basically, my day-to-day would be architecture reviews of new or existing features. Also do a lot of investigations and incident response. Um, and then also a lot of education because we have this culture that if we want to educate our engineers to empower them with the right tools, so then whenever they build features, they already have the the base. Whenever they build something that's built on a good base, good foundation. So a lot of education. I do security champions, and then of course I'm also involved in legal privacy. That's always fun. But my main kind of focus is in application security side.
Cool. What is it like to be kind of like a day in the life of doing that? Like what is like your day to day? Are you in meetings all the time? Do you get to hang out with software developers? Are you coding?
So all of that, I actually don't do a lot of coding, but my day to day, one thing that I love is that it's never the same. You wake up and you get a lot of surprises. So it's one of those jobs that maybe you can plan 40% of your quarter, but 60%, let's just say that it's going to be always surprise. So every day is a surprise. Um, and so you never work on the same thing, but just to kind of recap, like from high level, I spend a lot of time with engineering product team, because as I said, one of the things that I do is threat modeling, and threat modeling from design phase, which
Cool.
means that all requirements of security are put in place before the feature is actually executed. And then, of course, a lot of chit-chatting. For example, oh, can we use this or can we use that? So a lot of consulting, even though it's an engineering job, but it's or job is to consult engineers in the best practices, the best possible outcomes that a feature can be implemented. A lot, and it's interesting. My relationship with engineering and product is like a partnership, meaning that whenever we work, it's like we work on towards the same goal. Their goal is to execute a feature. They want to make something easy and everything, and then we want that feature to be secure. So that's kind of like how I spend my day, is with engineering, a lot of meetings, a lot of discussion, a lot of like architecture reviews, and then of course sometimes there is like privacy and legal. I don't necessarily am a privacy engineer or manager, but it's I am like that glue that glues everything, and then like distribute that whatever whether a task or something across like different teams. And then, as I said, education. I initiated this program called Security Champions. I would organize like at least one per month, sometimes a topic, and I will talk about, I'm not sure, like let's say cross-site scripting or something, and then that will help engineers to understand from basic to more convoluted things, and then also it's really important to keep up with what is going on in our industry. And so another thing is I also try to keep everyone kind of up to date with what are the trends and what we have to look for.
Okay. Okay. Cool. I am losing your picture for a second. Just a second. Zoom app. window plus, I'm doing something wrong on the screen here and I'm not sure what I've done, but it just got really confused about who it's supposed to be seeing, and it's definitely supposed to be seeing you. Interesting. We are in the corner and we're really small. And I want us to be the full size. It's like we're really, really little, and I'm just like dragging us around the screen, whatever. I'm going to ask you another question, and I'm going to figure out what it is decided to do in the meantime. But so your job has a lot of different parts. There's like a lot, like you have to be able to be social, you have to have like a technical mind, you have to be able to explain like really, really complex abstract concepts to lots of different people who are all super smart, but all have different backgrounds. What types of personality traits do you feel like someone needs in order to be good at your job?
Definitely. So, as a security engineer, so I can at least compare with software engineer. So I was software engineer before, but the difference is with security engineer you have to be really resilient, and you have to be able to deliver not so good news. It's interesting. Or as a software engineer you're all like flashing and showing off your features, and as a security engineer it's a little bit different, but you have to be able to deliver those particular news in a way that is digestible by everyone. So communication, really resilient. You have to have strong personality. You have to be really happy person, because the industry, the reason why you're working on what you're working is it drains you. So you have to have a lot of power, a lot of energy, and then of course curiosity, because so if you think about just from technical skills, and then you have to combine that with your personality, such as curiosity. You have to have that detective mind. You have to be able to think on a different perspective. Always when you look something, you have to switch lenses and think from we have heard this hacker perspective, but it's actually like you have to be able to think through all the steps that a malicious user will do. And that is it's draining, because you have to go down to that level. But it's interesting because it also has to do with you have to understand the philosophy of a different people, different backgrounds, different intents, interest on what, like. And also another thing is you have to also be able to understand your product, what are the weakest points, and what are the most valuable things. So a lot of analysis goes besides technical skills. And definitely you have to be really resilient and be able to perform whenever, like, if it's a daring situation. Definitely a lot. Yeah, it takes a lot a lot of energy, a lot of you have to be a positive person to be able to power through, because sometimes it gets hard, and when things get hard you have to be able to motivate yourself. So those are things, I would say.
Oh my gosh. I feel like, okay, so I do AppSec, so I'm very biased. So I think your job is the best of all the jobs in InfoSec. So what types of, I don't know if this question's sort of the same as the previous question. And so if it is, you can tell me. But like in the last question, it was like personality traits. Like, do you need a lot of leadership? Do you need to be empathetic? But what about like, like aptitudes, like a person that has hyper focus, or a person that has like great attention to detail. I don't know if there's certain aptitudes that make someone better at AppSec than someone else.
Yeah, so attention to details is really important. I mean, it's what it is. You have to have you have to be laser focused on things and analyze like small pieces, because those small pieces make a lot of difference. Be able to understand patterns, not just patterns like in shapes. I'm talking about like action in pattern, like patterns in terms of action. You have to be able to follow those things, because those are like pieces that make you a better, like I would say, like security engineer than others, because you have to, as I always say, technical skills is there, but you have to be able to have that ability to recognize those small changes. For example, when you analyze in an application, not necessarily all the vulnerabilities, or like one vulnerability will be like flashing in your eye. Sometimes you have to piece things together. It's like, okay, so this and that and this one, this is gonna be combined together, is gonna make this whole attack possible. So you have to think on that terms. Imagination and, as I said, thinking on the lower level as a malicious user, those that have bad intent, you have to be able to understand their background, their philosophy, and then act on those levels, and then analyze your product. But definitely also piecing pieces together, attention to details, small details. In my experience, I think there is a story like when I was before as a consultant. There are like cases where applications been like assessed for ages, and they were like, oh, we feel really confident, that this is just a routine or something. But it took only one small issue that I was able to get to the God mode. So those little
Oh my
things, yeah.
gosh.
So those are like that make the whole, I mean, as I said, vulnerability is something that you can scan, and so there are technical vulnerabilities and there are logical vulnerabilities. Technical
Yeah.
vulnerabilities are easier to catch because they have tools, you can automate some of the things. Of course there's false positive, but still logical vulnerabilities are those more dangerous ones, because it's where the logic felt short, and that's where you have to be really really like able to understand your architecture and then know what are the gaps and fill those gaps, because those make a huge difference.
I'm biased again for the 55th time, but do you feel that business logic security vulnerabilities, so like security flaws, we could call them, are able to be found with automated tools super easily? Or do you think we need security experts to find them?
So yeah, and business flaws or logical flaws or something that you cannot explain to a scanner what to find, right? The scanner, whatever scanner you have, it's not going to be able to understand your business, and so that's where you have to have security engineer, someone who has expertise on this field, because that's for example, when you think about product, you cannot like automate a product engineer, like a product program manager. You cannot automate his knowledge or her knowledge. Same, like you cannot automate security expertise when it comes to business logic, because those are like where I don't want to say like less or more, but that's where like the expertise are mostly needed.
Yeah. I mean, I set you up to say the thing that I think, so I don't like my words.
I right away understand like where are you trying to go.
No, but it's true. It's so true. So, like, a thing that people ask me about a lot with becoming an AppSec person, they're like, so sometimes people will ask me, do I need any technical skills to be an AppSec engineer? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, which ones? And I'm like, oh. What types of technical skills do you feel that a person needs? Because you need a lot of like communication skills and social skills, but like you know so much. So what kinds of
Um,
things?
yeah, so I don't want to sound, but this is just my opinion again. But for me, so what helped me to be a good security engineer is my background as software engineer. And the reason I'm saying I'm not talking about other engineering fields, but application security. Um, you have to, as I said, I spend most of the time trying to consult, to give advice, to do like, okay, so here is a remediation plan, and this is how you can solve it. You have to know, I don't spend time coding, but I have to be able to, explain, okay, so here's this function, this is where we are, like, we have the issue, and this is how we can fix it. So technical skills, not, I don't say, again, it depends from company, and then there are some roles that you can actually, you spend time building tools. But at least for my perspective, currently, I don't code a lot, but you have to be able to at least know one programming language. Not saying on, trying to code features, and that is not necessarily required, but how would you give advice to an engineer when you don't have the background of engineering at all?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's not that is not doable, and there are so many, nuances of different roles. You have security. When we talk about security, it's not like just application security and infrastructure security. There are like different flavors that your skill set, and you can find yourself. But for application security is best when you actually have at least one programming language. You can read the
Mm-hmm.
code. How would you recommend something else? How would you find the issue? So
I agree 100%. If you could see the little picture of me beside you, I'm just like nodding vigorously the whole time.
exactly. I second that. I second.
I want to suggest that everyone follow you on Twitter. So
Okay.
her Twitter handle is slightly different, and I'm going to spell it out for people who are, because you would think it would just be her first name and her last name, but it's slightly different. So it's TeotaHyseni. So just like at, or, just twitter.com. And I have it on the screen right underneath. Ooh, we have a question in the chat. Sweet.
Okay.
Someone is saying, is there a specific language that you would recommend learning?
Okay, so to answer this question correctly, we need to go back and see like what are the trending languages. But in enterprise level, mostly you have Java, C Sharp, Ruby. These are like kind of the common tech stack that are used in bigger companies. But then you have Python. Whenever I said you have to know at least one language, is you have to understand how programming language works. And then once you're good with one language, even if it's slightly like if you switch to Python or from Java to C Sharp or whatever, you will be able to read the code. I think like that's what I think a minimum bar would be. But I would have to defer. The answer would be um, based on the trends, but majority of companies use either Java, C Sharp, or Ruby. So
Oh,
those
yeah.
are the languages. Yeah, and then of course you can get more fancy Golang and Scala and everything else, but those are like at least it will take time to replace these languages. So, I will give a decade, if not more, to be able to replace all these applications with these languages.
It is so true. It's so true. People are always asking me which language to learn. I'm like, just learn one that is not 1,000 years old. So then, so someone else is saying, so once you're proficient in a code, like 2 to 5 years, you could focus on AppSec in that code. I would say that no, you could focus on AppSec in any language. Like you don't like learn just one and then work in just one. I would say.
Yeah, no. So yeah, like when I said one language is the reason why I said one language is just so you get the structure of programming, how it works, like data structures and how programming language works. And then once you have at least one language that you are proficient, then it's easy for you to switch back and forth on different languages. So that's in the context, but you don't have to work only in one language. That never limit yourself. If you can, I am really big on learning, and if I would say I'm just going to limit myself, that is you should not do. You should not limit yourself. You always aspire to learn more.
I am agreeing with her 500%. And we are at the part of the podcast where I am going to thank our sponsor. So I want to thank ThreadFix, powered by Denim Group, because they are the most stupendous vulnerability management system this side of the galaxy. I told them I would say whatever they wanted, and I was like, oh my God, this is the best sentence I ever get to say ever. And then I also want to briefly tell people about a book. So I wrote a book. It is called Alice and Bob Learn Application Security. And so I'm showing like a little picture of what the book looks like, and you can buy it from basically anywhere on the internet because Wiley is awesome. Like Indigo, Chapters, Amazon, all those places. And so if you want to learn lots of cool stuff about how to secure software specifically or how to build an AppSec program, all of those things, that is the type of nerd I am, the type of nerd I guess we both are. And so, so I have now officially done my marketing. I am amazing. And now I get to ask you questions.
Alice and Bob. So, and then for people, I actually followed Tanya and all her presentations. I would go and listen to her, and then so that's how I learned as well. So yeah, I would follow her on all the conferences.
I follow her too, just to be clear. We follow each other. She's also awesome, and everyone needs to follow her. And then I'm going to put her Twitter handle on the screen again. So I have so many questions. So let's say someone's like, okay, that sounds awesome. I want to work in AppSec. What types of training or work experience could they get or do or pursue so they could try to become an AppSec professional? Like, what types of things could they do? Like, whether it be like getting specific work experience, getting specific training. You totally can recommend things that do not come from my company, just to be clear. This is not a trick question where I'm like, you can only say me.
Well, so one thing is, of course, because as I said, I followed you like even before you opened your company, so I know your level of knowledge and level of expertise. I myself, how I got to secure application security is I did a lot of hands-on projects. OSP is my favorite. I still go to OSP to read things because I think that I always will need to have, like, because there's always new things. Oh, yeah. You can try, your knowledge, download Kali Linux and, work on and all the tools. But in terms of experience, I am, again, a little bit like, I don't want to, be siding, but I would say work if you want to start. So if you want to, the best way to learn for me, and this is how I learn, is by doing it. And so I would say if you want, you can start very beginning with some software engineering work, just so you get used to programming and everything. But that is not necessarily a requirement. And then for me, I just learned everywhere, like whatever I could, like all the sources that you have in OSP. I think you're a great start. That's it. And then you can read books, you can take classes. There are online classes for free now. I am amazed at the amount of knowledge we have compared to like a decade ago. So definitely for me, I would recommend, and this is based on my experience and based on how I got to learn, is by just going off of different YouTube videos. Like even that helps. So, and definitely, Tanya's classes. Just saying.
Yes, I agree. My classes are awesome. We Hack Purple courses. You should definitely check them out if you want to be an AppSec engineer. That is obviously the first place to start. But I actually agree with all of your advice, especially OWASP, and especially like trying things out for yourself, building things, learning to secure them, like trying to kind of hack on them and break them, and then seeing how you can make them stronger. It's like such a good way to learn. I want to add to your list the OWASP DevSlop project, like specifically. Like it's a really, so I'm biased because I'm part of this open source project, but basically like we just wanted to learn about DevSecOps. So I'm like, let's smash shit, let's make a pipeline, let's add things, and like let's invite cool people who know stuff and make things with them. And it just like I couldn't agree more with you. All the things you said, so good. We have a question in the chat. So the question is, are people skills or soft skills underestimated or underrated or underrepresented in AppSec or cybersecurity in general, do you think? I realize that I added a lot of words there.
Yeah, I would say no. Actually, so as I said, at least, as application security engineer, even as an AppSec consultant before, number one thing that you do is communicate with people, and you have to be able to, elaborate things. And then also in part of partnership is, you have to have the empathy, towards engineering, towards product team, because everyone are, kind of trying to do their best, right? So people skills actually is really important as a security engineer, because you don't want to be that security team or engineer that will hide from you. Yes. Or like, right? Or hide, or not just physically hide, but hide their stuff, hide their
not
applications.
Trust you. Not trust
things
you.
without your knowledge. Exactly. Yes. So then they can find a way to bypass you as much as possible, because that's where like then it's not good. And so like you have to be able to have you have to cultivate your people skills. I would say not like, but it's one of the aspects that sets you for success.
Yeah. I think that the way you said it was so perfect. Like, don't be the security person that the devs hide from, because it's so true. It's so true. So someone is saying basically that they agree with you. You have to have empathy. You have to have understanding. Everyone is trying their best. You don't want to be that security engineer that people hide from. So I think they're 100% agreeing with you in the chat. So the next question is like ever so slightly sensitive. So does working in AppSec and your type of job and your field, does it pay well?
Well, I would say like pay me $1 billion. No, no, never enough. No, I would say that it is a well-paying job, and it is because for example, let's just say I'm going back a little bit in history and how security has become number one problem for not CISOs but CEOs. So it is something that is, especially like giving the pandemic and everything, like more things becoming online or remote or whatever you want to call it, virtual. Um, it is a well, it pays well because of the level of stress you have, of course, and the level of expectations from security. Or when security is good, everything is quiet. When there is no problem, when I would say, like, if you want to know that you're doing good, is when nothing happens. It's like everything's still. So that's the level of stress, and the all those kind of different flavors of skill set that I've mentioned, or that needed to actually have a well-formed engineer, are generously paid from different companies.
So, a way that we have, so inadvertently on the first episode, I talked about when I was a dev, and the first time I felt like I've made it, I am an adult, I am making good money. I had gone to the grocery store and there's like two different types of cheese, and I was like, both these types of cheese look super delicious. And then I realized I made enough money, I could get both cheese. I'm like, I could get anything I want in the grocery store. So someone in the chat who watches every week is like, I demand to know the cheese pay. So can she buy all the cheese she wants?
I actually am fan of cheese, mozzarella cheese. I can buy mozzarella cheese with that.
As much mozzarella as she wants. Does someone wants to say hi to you in the chat? Efren Suarez says hi. Good to see ya.
Ephraim, right?
Yep.
Yay. Okay, so I know him. Hi, Ephraim.
Awesome. So my next question is, are there a lot of opportunities in this field? Do you think there's jobs?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, if you're interested, let me know. I get reached out by a lot of recruiters. So based on that, I would say there are a lot of opportunities. And this demand is not going to decrease anytime soon, given the ratio of it's not application, but given the ratio of day-to-day things that we're making, or we are empowering or powering with applications, it's just exponentially growing. I don't think that it's going to be shortage. I mean, shortage in opportunities. Actually, it's just going to be maybe shortage in demand. I mean, in supply, which would be like engineering. But yeah, definitely, it's good. I mean, it is interesting. If I have a philosophy, it's kind of, when you think about it, it's kind of sad, right? Because you have, the number of, what your purpose is to defend. So, that's kind of but anyway.
Yeah, like I tell people that if you want to be a good AppSec engineer, you're trying your damnedest to put yourself out of a job. You want to make everything self-service. You want to teach the devs every single thing they need to know. You want to have every single thing set up so that all the magical things work and like nothing bad happens. And you're like, I can relax, which you never can. But like that's the goal, right?
Wait, was that a movie?
You're like, that's not real, Tanya. Good luck.
Yeah, no, I wish that was the case, but that's actually like what we constantly strive for. We want to automate things that can be automated. So then our focus actually it's in more things that matter and that requires mental power and analysis that still computers say do whatever what we say, what we teach them or how we feed them. So definitely that is like constant kind of constant work on trying to automate things that can be automated, and then so then we free ourselves to do things cooler than
things.
whatever. Like that.
It's so true. It's so true. It's like we automate so that then we can do the super cool tasks.
Exactly.
I tell that to people, and like they're like, really? Yeah, there are cooler tasks than run. Like the first time, I don't know about you, but the first time I ran a scan, I was like, I am amazing. But then the 10th time I ran a scan, I'm like, okay, so while that's running, what can I do that's way better?
Exactly. Like, yeah, definitely the things that can be automated, we always try to do that. So we do cool stuff. I mean,
Oh,
no one
yeah.
wants to run scans every day, right?
Yeah. So, okay, so the next question is, so there's like it's a two-parter. So the first
Okay.
question or part of the question is, what do you like best about your job and your work? And the second question, which you already probably could see coming, is what do you like the least about your job and your work?
Yeah. So should I be the person with the good news person? I will say the good part, and then, so the good part from what I love about my job, is the mission. I don't know how to explain how. So whenever I moved to security, I did not understand really like the implication, the altitude, and how impactful is security until I moved to it. So we, as as a tech industry, we build up so many tools, which is great. We want humans to have more time, but we also are responsible, really responsible, to make sure that those tools are not hurting. And when I say hurting, um, because when people say it's a virtual world, no, actually, everything that now is tied to an application actually is impacting my life. And that's not virtual at all. It's actually real time right now. If someone does something to my account, it's not a virtual world. Actually, it's my bank account and my money and my sweat and my tears. So, so those are things. So, given the fact that we are trying to digital
Digitalize.
digitalize everything, because I got so emotionally. Uh, Given the fact that we are doing, we are putting everything on powered by application, we are responsible to actually protect those who can protect. So the thing that I love about my job is that I know that I'm doing something good. So I'm trying, and I'm protecting those who can't, because not everyone is
Yes.
technical savvy. And so my mission is like a life mission. It's like I'm protecting those who can't, and that's like what makes my life and my job really easy. I know that it gets hard and rusty and everything, and dry, and sometimes it's like, should I do some more security, or should I switch to something else? But no, that's what makes it really easy. That's mission, and so that's what I love about my job. Sadly, the bad side, and I'll go back to flipping side, what makes it hard is it's draining. It drains your energy, and it sucks your happiness sometimes, because knowing that there are that much of malicious people, that that is
Yeah.
to me like something that it drains my, which I don't really like. And yeah, but other than that, it's something that I really enjoy it, and I do it every morning. It's like, okay, so, but I just go behind my mission, and that's it.
Awesome. I love it. I I agree so much. I feel like I'm just like nodding a lot. So if anyone is listening and they're like, why is Tanya so quiet? She's just nodding vigorously. And also I wanted to mention, so if someone is watching this episode and they're enjoying it, they should click the thumbs up. They should subscribe. They should follow We Hack Purple and our amazing guest on YouTube, so or on Twitter. So I'm gonna put like her Twitter handle up again and try to convince people again to follow you because I've been flashing it all day. And then I feel like people should subscribe. If it's an audio version that you're listening to, you should subscribe to that, but also write us a review. Did you know that we prescribe to bribery? Yes, that's right. If you review our podcast and then you send us a screenshot on Twitter, we will mail you stickers. Yes, that's right. We are buying our reviews with stickers. It doesn't matter what your review says.
Well,
we will send, I hope it's a nice review.
Yeah, I actually, I still have a handful of stickers from Tanya. What was it? Raccoon? Was it raccoon or panda?
Yep. The raccoon doing all the cool stuff, teaching the devs security. Security's everybody's job, flashing the OWASP symbol. Oh yeah, that raccoon is cute. We have new stickers now, which obviously I should have one handy, but I do not. There's a question from the chat that I wanted to ask you before we wrap up, because I know we're sort of running out of time, but that's okay. But someone was asking, do you have any tips for teaching devs and like reaching devs? So if you're trying to like reach out to developers and teach them about security, like how do you reach them?
Yes, so it is challenging, but so how I go about it, you cannot teach someone who doesn't want to be taught, right? So first thing that I've done is ask for volunteers, that those engineers who, so for example, the security champions is across all the teams, at least one engineer per team. You can, the first thing that I've done is ask people around who are interested to learn about security. Because, there are engineers who are not interested, it's fine, but there are engineers who actually care about their features, and they want to know, they want to stay updated on all the security matters. And so the first thing that I will suggest is see who is interested already a little bit in not switching a job, I'm not saying, but there are engineers who are interested in security, because that's when a person wants to learn, that's easy, half of their job is done because they already have the willingness and they are paying attention. Whenever you say something or when you're presenting something, it's already the attention because it's naturally there. You're not pushing. Of course, there are like other methodologies, because engineering is kind of tricky. Sometimes I also gamify things, make it interesting. Appreciation goes long way. And when I say, for example, when an engineer does something, that is, it's not out of the way, but it's, it's a good practice, and they already, without someone pointing, they have done something from security perspective. Appreciation is, goes a long way. They want, everyone wants to be appreciated. So I try to do that as well. So those are similar techniques that I've used, and they are really interesting, that worked. I'm not saying like 100%, it's not bulletproof, but those are some of the tips I would say. Start there, and then there are a lot of teaching techniques, but those are successful as well.
Cool. So let's say someone is listening and they think, oh my gosh, this is the coolest thing ever. I want to work in AppSec. Do you have some actionable advice of things they could do to move towards this as a goal? Like if they want to work in AppSec, besides saying hi to recruiters, but like before that, like let's say I'm a software engineer or I work in help desk, like what are things I could do so I could aim there?
Yes. So hey, just switch like I did. I just switched. That's hard. It's just like I was
Wow.
like, okay. No, that's not. But so if you are already working, I think if you want to switch to security engineering, you have to first of all reach out to the engineering team on your company and just you know, see what they're doing, and if that, is something on your interest. Secondly, don't switch your job right away, because that, like, it's, I mean, I don't know, but I loved it so much. I just felt like this is it. But try to kind of test drive, work on, like, if you can partner with some security engineer, and then, shadow them, so then you can see from kind of firsthand how things work and what are the things that the security engineer is doing. And then in terms of from switching completely, the kind of the gear from help desk to application security, is not that you can. It's as I said, I think I maybe had education, degree, or it doesn't set you for what you want to do as a, as a professional. Like computer science degree will not kind of dictate you whether you're going to be a good engineer or not. There are so many free learning, as I said, hands-on for me. I mean, I don't know, like, you have to understand your learning patterns. What are, how you learn, because, I'm, again, just from my perspective, start hands-on projects. First start read about application security, and then start like hands-on projects. See how you work, like what is synergy with that, the type of work. And then slowly, like, now it's pandemic, but there are so many conferences, right? Even
Yes.
now on, there are like so many conferences that you can attend, that exposes you, one, networking, more people in that field. Two, you can, of course, knowledge. And then there's like, on those conferences there are also recruiters. So that is like some of the things you can do to, plan kind of your switch and your, your next move.
This is awesome advice. So we have come to the end, and I have to ask you the super difficult, tough question, which is,
Okay.
so let's say people probably think you're awesome now. How can they follow you? How can, like, if they want to learn more about you, where can they find stuff about you? I heard you might have been in one of the Tribe of Hackers books. I don't know. Do you have a website?
So yeah, definitely LinkedIn, Twitter. Those are two things that I actually use. I do mentor others. So like I already, yeah, I don't, I have it somewhere else, but yes. And my chapter is the 30th. But so yeah, Twitter, LinkedIn, and don't, feel free to message me. If I don't respond, it's not that I don't want to respond, but maybe I just opened the message on a time that I should not, and then I forgot to answer your question. But feel free to ping me. I make myself available for questions, and I'm more than happy to help if in any way.
I am going to spell out her Twitter handle so that people can know it. So it's TeotaHyseni. But if you're going to follow her on LinkedIn, it's Teuta, right? And then space, and then same last name, Hyseni. So Twitter handle slightly different than LinkedIn, but she's the only one with this spectacular name. And someone has also mentioned in the chat, if your AppSec career doesn't pan out, Tanya, you could become her salesperson. Because I'm like, the book, her Twitter handle, like, I'm like, I'm Vanna White, okay? Thank you so much for coming on the show. It has been such a pleasure to have you. And like, it's nice to see you again after working with you, which was a total and complete pleasure. And with that, I am going to Thank you. I am really, yeah, I'm excited. So we are going to share all of this on our website, and this episode's going to go out shortly. But for now, I bid you farewell and then do the outro fancy pantsness that I always do. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. This was great.
You have been watching the We Hack Purple podcast, where each week we introduce a different member of the podcast community, of the information security community, so that we can learn about what it's like to do all their different jobs. We Hack Purple is a community, an online community, a podcast, and an academy where we teach people all about AppSec. And I know we talked about AppSec today. Gosh, there are a lot of jobs in that area, but all of IT. And the goal of this podcast is to help you figure out where you fit into our industry, because we need you. We need more people to join our industry. I'm not just saying that because I run a school. All areas of information security need you. I want to thank very much our guest. Oh my gosh, she was so awesome. And I'm so excited to have like a fellow AppSec person on. I want to thank ThreadFix, our amazing sponsor powered by Denim Group. And I totally forgot to introduce myself. I am ridiculous. My name is Tanya Janca. I am also known as She Hacks Purple on the internet. And I am the best-selling author of Alice and Bob Learn Application Security. But before I let you go, I want to tell you about our coming guests. So every Thursday, except for during the Christmas break, we are having super awesome humans on our show. So Thursday, December 3rd, we're having Gabrielle Botbol. So she is a leader for WOSAC. She is a penetration tester. She's a cybersecurity blogger. She's a podcaster. And also she's totally awesome. The following week, we're having Shelly Geisbrecht, which I know I'm saying wrong. She's also known as Nerdosity on the internet. And I've been following her for years. And I'm so excited to kind of get to one-on-one with her instead of just awing at her from the internet. And she's going to talk about doing instant response. And that is an intense job. After that, we're having Mahidina Afrin, and we are going to talk to her about what it's like to be a bug bounty hunter. And then we are taking a Christmas break until next year in January. We're having Najla Lindsay, and she's going to talk about what it's like to be a forensic investigator, because we want you to know what every single type of job is like so that we can have more people join our field. So again, I'm Tanya Janca. Our amazing guest today was Teuta Hyseni, and thank you so much for listening. I hope you subscribe and write a review.